All right, have and have not fans, you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content that I put up on the channel. And you know what? I actually goofed up. This is a Paynes video, so Paynes fans. But in any case, I've finally caught up on all the episodes. I've done all my episode reviews that I've wanted to do. I put them up on the channel. But this video is kind of a whodunit sort of situation. Like, who are we pointing the finger at in regards to the current situation that Curtis and Ella are in right now? If I'm not mistaken, they're at a point of, number one, losing the laundromat. Number two, getting sued by Terrence and his team because, well, obviously they did all the work for the laundromat, but the money bounced once it was placed in the bank. So there's no money for them to pay the contractors, and because of that, Terrence is about to lose his entire team and then be broke as a result. So as Ella said, she understood why there will be a lawsuit. But I really wanted to get your thoughts on who do you think is at fault for their current money situation. I'm not going to lie, and this isn't me, and I say this in almost every Paynes video. This is nothing against the actors or actresses. This is mainly about the characters on the show and the way they were written to be. Personally, I feel like this whole finding the money in the laundromat was the worst thing to do for the show. If you go back and look at some of my older episode reviews right before Terrence found a bag of money in the what was it, one of the dryers or washers in the back. Before that episode, I was giving the show praise. I'm like, you know what? The show's getting better. We're getting some character development from Nyla and the kids. You know, I love the fact they're growing together, moving away from the Kendrick life that they had before. And Ella and Curtis, the laundromat's being fixed up and all this stuff. I was looking at, you know, hey, things are looking up. The laugh track wasn't being abused like it is now, but then the money came and everything just got bad. Like, it really just really bad. Honestly, I feel it's Ella's fault, like the whole money situation, and they aren't afraid to say it on the show. Like, you know, about you're the dummy that put in the bank. I think Ryan, Joanne, even Curtis, until he was threatened with the doghouse, but he was absolutely right. Now, Ella, look, yes, let's just backtrack. Number one, technically, it was Uncle Robert's fault for stealing the money to begin with. But at the same time, you know, I'm not condoning what he did to be right, but I'm just saying he never put in the bank, obviously. Then Joanne got paid off, you know, what she said 30 years ago. Not just the car, but getting money here and there. And, you know, I'm guessing that after when he got older and she was taking care of him, she wasn't getting any more money, hence why she was pissed that she wanted half of the money once it was found in the laundromat, then wanted to sue, but Nyla so graciously told her that wouldn't be a smart idea because you would lose because you sold all of that to Curtis, so that's his money now. Not to mention they can use that in court, the fact that you inflated the story about how this place brought in a lot of money and it was a good bargain and stuff like that. It really made her look bad. It's funny how Curtis was made to look like an insensitive jerk at the beginning of the season where he uprooted him and his wife to go to another state for retirement without her consent. Then Joanne looked like a monster and a liar by, you know, selling him a crap home and laundromat that needed a huge renovation. Like, basically, if Curtis saw the condition that the house and the laundromat were in, how in the heck would they have afforded to fix those places up without, you know, without not being in retirement? Well, in any case, you know, I'm just sick of Ella continually throwing it up in Curtis's face that it's their fault, well, his fault that they moved down there, they're in this situation. No, at least in the last episode, Home Alone, she finally took responsibility for the fact that she took the money and put it in the bank, but still isn't against, you know, telling the Paynes that, you know, the family is full of crooked thieves and liars and deceivers. But they weren't flat out idiots because they didn't put stolen money in the bank. Now, if you ask me, looking at it, you know, we have Uncle Robert who took the money. Then Joanne has nothing to do with it, to be honest. She has nothing to do with the fact that Ella took the money and put it in the bank. I mean, if anything, she probably still has the half that Ella gave her and didn't put it in the bank. And as Ella pointed out, it doesn't matter if Curtis tries to strong arm her for the money because the money was stolen, so you can't pay back the feds with stolen money in order to clear the balance from the stolen money that was put in the bank to begin with. That makes absolutely no sense. And Curtis is actually, believe it or not, the victim in all this. I mean, he was the one that took all the money by selling the house, buying the laundromat and house. Honestly, I have no idea how they afforded the renovation of their own house. I mean, maybe it's from their retirement savings or something like that. And that's the only way I can think of those two getting the money. But on top of that, you know, the laundromat was fixed up. So the fact that they might be on the verge of losing the laundromat means that Curtis's plan is in major turmoil because of the fact that if they lose the laundromat, they lose their only source of income. Number two, they're going to have to take out a mortgage on the house in order to pay Terrence and his workers. That way they don't get a lawsuit from him. And then those two might actually have to go back into the workforce. So at the very core of it, that means that Curtis's plan to uproot him and Ella to move to Florida to retire is completely nullified by the fact that those two might actually have to go to work in order to live. So they were better off staying in Georgia. And if you want to throw even more weight on the it's Ella's fault notion, I mean, she could say what she wants about Curtis taking the family and moving them to Florida. But on the bright side, number one, they were able to renovate the house without any kind of outside help. I mean, I don't think they took out a loan for that. I think they took their own money to pay for the house to be renovated. Number two, Ella was saying that they were probably going to have to get out a loan if possible in order to pay for Terrence and his workers to actually renovate the laundromat. That was something that they said it would be too much for them to afford, but at the same time, it was a loan that they can gradually pay back as opposed to taking out an entire mortgage on their house. So the money probably would have been made back over time with the laundromat bringing in more business. So up until that point of the stolen money, everything was looking pretty damn good. But then you have Ella who, on her own, I mean, you could say what you want to about her asking Curtis. I mean, she really asked him, but, you know, he was being selfish and, you know, we know how that goes. She was the one that took Nyla and her two kids and moved them in the house rent free. So that's 3 extra mouths to feed. So Ella, this is your fault. I mean, there's no other way around it. Like, Joanne is at fault for giving a false description, basically false advertising for the money that was given, paid by Curtis for everything. I mean, she was at fault for that. Uncle Robert was at fault for taking the money from the bank to begin with, but at the same time, you know, hey, he had nothing to do with Ella putting the money in the bank. Curtis was at fault for being insensitive, but at the very core, it's all Ella's fault. And this arc about the money does nothing positive for her character whatsoever. I honestly feel like Tyler Perry dropped the ball on this one. The Paynes was actually doing pretty good up until the point where you had the green-eyed monster, not jealousy, but the love of money. Actually, my sister went outside to get my nephew off the bus. So if you hear any background noise like a door closing, that's what it is. But overall, I feel like, you know, it's Ella's fault. Cassie Davis, love her as an actress, but in terms of Ella, I loved her on House of Pain, but the Paynes has done nothing positive for her character whatsoever. I mean, I get it. Like, I would hate it if I know that I'm in the wrong and then people just kept reminding me of it. But at the same time, Ella isn't doing anything to take responsibility for it. Yeah, she got the mortgage for the house and everything, but at the same time, it's like, well, dang, Curtis really can't catch a break. I mean, not only did Ella bring 3 extra people into the house, but on top of that, you know, her mistake, because remember, she wasn't going to tell him about the money to begin with. And even though I think that that was a good move because she was correct in the fact that he would take the money and buy something dumb instead of fixing out the laundromat, at the same time, it's like, well, if Curtis had that boat, he would have paid for it in cash. So he could have been a fisherman. I don't know. I mean, I think that at the core, Ella should have definitely discussed things over with Curtis first and then talked his stupid self into realizing, look, we need to get this laundromat fixed up because that's going to be our way of making a living. Once that's done with, we'll take whatever money is left, decide what to do with it. You know, a smart decision would be putting a chunk, maybe not in the bank, but putting it away somewhere. And Joanne, well, the only reason I'm mad at Joanne at this point is the fact that she was, you know, going off about not getting any of the money. But at the same time, Uncle Robert was chipping her some money, and who knows how many other people in the family X amount of dollars over the years, but then she's going to cry and whine about not getting part of the money that was found in the crappy laundromat that she sold to Curtis. So that's my only gripe about Joanne. But overall, Ella is probably the worst character on the show right now. Not in terms of, you know, oh, I hate Ella. No. I'm just talking about in the way she's being written, the way her character has shifted, and how she has this undying ability to just continuously nag and make all these decisions on her own. That while you might think it makes Curtis look selfish and whatnot for not thinking about others, Ella really is the same way in a lot of regards. Like, you know, there's a difference between being sanctified, a Christian, and then overly sanctified and a hypocritical Christian. Because say what you want about Hannah on the haves and the have-nots, but I think Ella is probably a worse Christian. That is probably a good video, Ella versus Hannah. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If any of the cast members of the show watch this, guys, by no means do I dislike any of you. I think you're all great. You only can work with the material you're given. So just know that I'm talking about the characters, not the cast members. So let me know your thoughts about the Paynes and the money situation in the comment section below. How do you think they're going to get past this? And who knows? I mean, maybe we'll see some of the old cast members show up and try to help out. That would be great too. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you all soon.